Brendan Fraser, the love star of George of the Jungle and the Mummy franchise, made waves when he reappeared on the Hollywood scene in 2016. Fans of his movies were surprised to see him back in the mainstream after so many years. But where did he go? And why did he step back from the limelight? The answer is complicated. In the years since his return, Fraser has lifted the lid on a 30-year career, revealing the stress that acting put on his body and the way he was betrayed by the industry when he accused Hollywood big shots of acting inappropriately towards him. Brendan Fraser landed his first leading role as caveman Link in cult film Encino Man in 1992, charming audiences and making them laugh in equal measure. In 1997, he landed his first major box office hit as Wild Child George in George of the Jungle, which catapulted him to stardom and landed him a highly publicized role in the Mummy franchise between 1998 and 2009. Fraser was known for taking on highly physical roles and throwing himself into parts with enthusiasm, landing him a reputation as a likable, well-rounded actor, both behind the scenes and with audiences. Fraser himself described the type of character he got a reputation for playing as naive, babe in the woods, new guy in town, man boy, visitor in an unusual environment. Fans saw his acting style differently, with him being described as the whole package. Not only shockingly handsome, tall, well-built, and somehow not bland at the same time, but also full of charisma, natural, and able to both seem vulnerable and throw a punch. However you describe it, the role worked for him, and he worked steadily in Hollywood for many years. Until he didn't. Around the early 2010s, the movie star seemed to disappear from our screens, and it wasn't until he gave an eerily uncomfortable interview to promote his role in TV show The Affair that people began to question where exactly he'd been all this time. In the interview, Fraser barely spoke above a whisper and acted more like a deer in the headlights than one of Hollywood's biggest stars of the 90s. He expressed how his career had found him pigeonholed into playing the same type of roles and how the movie industry has changed massively, leaving him feeling as though he was out in the cold.
Where I often wondered really, you can be pigeonholed or boxed as an actor and not really know what the public's perception is of you, or should you play to a certain strength, or well, that answer is yes. But
after filming the final Mummy film in 2008, Fraser found himself in and out of the hospital over the next 7 years as he tried to repair his shattered body. But Brendan wasn't only struggling with his health. In a landmark interview in 2018, he dropped a bombshell that left Hollywood reeling. In 2003, shortly before the leading man roles began to dry up for Brendan, he met a man named Philip Burke at the Hollywood Hills Hotel. Philip Burke was kind of a big deal at the time. He was the president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, or HFPA for short. The HFPA report on the entertainment industry in America is also responsible for conducting the Golden Globes Award ceremony every year. Brendan was pleased to see Burke. It was almost an honor to be recognized by a man with so much power behind him. Brendan reached out to shake his hand, but Philip wanted more contact than that. According to Fraser, his left hand reaches around, grabs my ass cheek, and one of his fingers touches me, and he starts moving it around. In shock, it took some time before Brendan had the courage to remove Burke's hand. Eventually he did, and he rushed home, where he told his wife, Afton, what had happened. He describes the feeling of shame that overcame him as if he had been covered in invisible paint. Brendan decided not to take his story public, but complained to the HFPA, receiving nothing from Burke but an apology that Brendan did not think was good enough. Burke himself admits, "My apology admitted no wrongdoing. It was the usual, if I've done anything that upset Mr. Fraser, it was not intended, and I apologize." Burke has since described his inappropriate conduct as nothing but a joke. The HFPA did apparently tell Brendan that they would ensure he was never in a room with Burke again, but it was not enough to wipe the stain of the incident from the actor's memory. I was blaming myself and I was miserable. The experience made me retreat. It made me feel reclusive. Brendan also wondered if he'd been blacklisted by the HFPA and other affiliates of Philip Burke. He describes his acting career as withering on the vine, and he was rarely invited to any other Golden Globe ceremonies after the incident. The HFPA denies sabotaging Fraser's career. In a statement, they claim to stand firmly against harassment and the type of act that Burke allegedly committed. They also claim to have maintained a positive working relationship with Brendan, which includes announcing Golden Globe nominees, attending the ceremony, and participating in press conferences. They also claim that Fraser's interview includes alleged information that the HFPA was previously unaware of. After conducting their own investigation, the HFPA decided to support Philip Burke's assertion that the whole scenario was a joke. Fraser was not convinced, stating that, "I don't get the joke. I'm the only one who would know where I was touched on my body." Fraser said that he was inspired to come forward with his story after hearing several other big names come forward to share their negative experiences working in Hollywood. He highlighted the experiences of Rose McGowan, Ashley Judd, and Mira Sorvino, all colleagues of his as well as friends. Fraser admired their courage, stating, "I watched this wonderful movement, these people with the courage to say what I didn't have the courage to say." Rose McGowan, Ashley Judd, and Mira Sorvino all accused disgraced producer Harvey Weinstein of acting inappropriately towards them. This movement that spoke out against inappropriate behavior in Hollywood became, for many reasons, female-dominated. But Brendan Fraser is not the only male Hollywood star to find himself at the center of a tasteless encounter. Perhaps most famously, Star Trek Discovery actor Anthony Rapp came forward in 2017 to describe his mistreatment at the hands of fellow actor Kevin Spacey. Rapp alleges that in 1986, when he was 14, he ended up at a party being held at Spacey's house. Spacey was 26 at the time. Rapp described how the older man made unwanted advances towards him by picking him up, putting him on a bed, and laying on top of him. Rapp left Spacey's house and spent several years only telling close friends about what had happened to him. Like Fraser, Rapp was emboldened to come forward after several women shared their negative experiences with Harvey Weinstein, acknowledging that part of what allowed the Harvey situation to occur was that there was this witting and unwitting conspiracy of silence. The only way these things can continue is if there's no attention being paid to it, if it's getting forgotten. Kevin Spacey saw himself punished harshly after Anthony Rapp came forward. He was fired from hit TV show House of Cards and cut out of the film All the Money in the World. Since 2017, Spacey has not worked in Hollywood, showing how speaking out against bad behavior can have positive effects. Similarly, Harvey Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison for his crimes, and we can only hope that seeing people like Weinstein and Spacey punished will lead more people like Rapp and Fraser to come forward with their stories. Also in 2017, Brooklyn Nine-Nine actor Terry Crews shared his own negative experience, which was remarkably similar to Brendan Fraser's. Crews revealed that at a Hollywood function in 2016, a high-level Hollywood executive came over and groped Crews' privates. Crews alleges that he confronted the perpetrator immediately, and that his wife, who was present for the encounter, saw everything.
In 2016, while at a party with my wife, I was sexually assaulted by a successful Hollywood agent.
After a sleepless night deciding what to do, Crews spent the next day explaining what had happened to several people he knew worked closely with the executive and received a half-hearted apology from the culprit shortly after. The actor then decided there was nothing more he could do, as he understood that he could be ostracized as the person behind the appropriate conduct had too much power and influence. Terry Crews acknowledged the strange situation that victims like Brendan Fraser can find themselves in by tweeting, "Sometimes you have to wait and compare notes with others who've been victimized in order to gain a position of strength." As Fraser's comeback gets fully underway, it seems that he has finally found his position of strength. Fans took to Twitter in early 2021 to praise him, leading to him becoming one of the top trending topics on the social media website. One fan summed up the situation perfectly when they tweeted, "I'm imagining Brendan Fraser's publicist calling him like, 'You're trending on Twitter,' and him going, 'Oh God, what do I do?' And she says, 'You're trending because everyone loves you,' and I hope that gives him a warm fuzzy feeling." What do you think? Are you excited to see Brendan Fraser's triumphant return? Let us know in the comments.